The objective of this lesson is to analyze the graphs of quadratic functions by using axes of symmetry, vertices, and end behavior. Identify the axes of symmetry, the vertex and the y-intercept of the graph, then describe the end behavior. Number 1. Parabolas are symmetric about a central line, and this line is called the axis of symmetry. In our problem here, the axis of symmetry lies at the point between -2 and -4, and this is at x equal -3. So the axis of symmetry lies at the point x equals -3. Number 2, the vertex. The vertex is either the lowest point or the highest point of a parabola, and it's called also the turning point. So the vertex here, we can find it at this point, where its coordinates are at x equals -3 and y equals 8. So it is at -3 and 8, and these are the coordinates of the vertex. The y-intercepts of the graph, of course, the y-intercepts are the points where the graph intersects the y-axis. So the y-intercept here is at y equals 4, and this is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is at y equals 4. Then describe the end behavior. The end behavior is described as follows. We write as x approaches infinity and as x approaches -infinity. And we write here what happens as x approaches infinity, and here what happens as x approaches -infinity. As x approaches infinity, we look at the graph. What happens to the graph? The graph approaches, which is y, approaches -infinity. As you see, it's going downwards in the negative y direction. Also, as x approaches -infinity, what happens to the graph? It also approaches -infinity. As you see, the graph or the parabola, it is moving downwards on both directions. Another example, identify the axes of symmetry, the vertex and the y-intercept of the graph, then describe the end behavior of the function. Again, the axis of symmetry is the line where the graph is symmetric upon. So the graph here is symmetric on the y-axis, as you see. So line of symmetry or axis of symmetry is at x equals 0, which is the y-axis. Second is the vertex, and the vertex, we said it is either the highest point or the lowest point of the graph. In our case here, the vertex is the lowest point. It is at between 2 and 4, so it is at x is 0 and y is at 3. So the coordinates of the vertex is at 0 and 3 because it lies on the y-axis. Third, what is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is the point on the y-axis where the graph intersects the y-axis, and of course it is the same as the vertex in our case here. So the y-intercept is at 3, or y equals 3. Then describe the end behavior. Again, the end behavior, we describe it as x approaches infinity, what happens, and as x approaches -infinity, what happens. As x approaches infinity, what happens to the graph? It is moving upwards, so y approaches +infinity. And as x approaches -infinity, what happens to the graph? It also approaches +infinity because it's increasing on both ends of the graph. I hope this video was useful. If you like it, please press like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. So, to the next video. Bye.